And joining us now to discuss Israeli-Emirates relations in the wake of the anti-Semitic attack is Executive Director of Sharaka and Middle East Affairs Analyst Dan Fefferman. Thank you for joining.
Thanks for having me.
So many Israelis travel to Dubai and to Abu Dhabi regularly. In the wake of this attack, is it safe to be there now?
Yeah, first, I just want to say that I've spent a lot of time in the UAE, and I was very close with the Chabad community there and the rabbis. And this is just a tragic and shocking murder attack. Rav Kogan, Zichrono Livracha, and the entire Chabad community were known for their incredible generosity, their warmth, and they were unbelievable ambassadors for the Jewish people and for Israel in that sense. And they're beloved and welcomed by the entire UAE community in general. And so this is an especially tragic and difficult event, and my sympathies really go out to Rav Kogan's family, the entire Chabad community, the entire community of the UAE. In general, and I've said this after my many visits to the country, I think it's still the safest country or one of the safest countries to visit or to live in. And this just goes to show how deep and prevalent are the threats against Jews anywhere. There are radicalized Islamist terrorists, whether backed by Iran or acting with other terrorist groups, or individual actors who are radicalized everywhere. And so while the UAE has done a remarkable job compared to the rest of the region, and certainly compared to Europe these days or the West, in de-radicalizing, in promoting an extremely tolerant society, and in protecting vulnerable minorities, you see that such hate crimes can happen anytime, anywhere. And it's virtually impossible to have zero terrorist attacks or hate crimes.
And so what has been, the attitude of the United Arab Emirates and cooperation with Israeli authorities since this tragic event?
Broadly speaking, since the Abraham Accords, but even well before the Abraham Accords, there was very close security, intelligence, and diplomatic cooperation between the two. And so while I'm not privy to the exact diplomatic or security cooperation happening now, I would expect there to be nothing less than full cooperation and full transparency on this case as well.
Mm-hmm. And Rabbi Kogan was openly Israeli, visibly Jewish. Do you think that the attack against him was likely an effort to perhaps sabotage the good relations between Jews, between Israel and the United Arab Emirates?
Almost certainly. I think the October 7th attack was clearly the ongoing war with the Hezbollah, with the Houthis, with other Iran-backed proxies, and Iran itself directly attacking Israel on so many fronts, with Iran-backed radicals attacking Jewish communities and Israel-related targets in the West. This seems to be another attempt, I would say a desperate attempt, to sabotage the good relations between Israel and the UAE, to sabotage the accords, and also maybe to harm and intimidate, the good standing of the Jewish community in the UAE. Chabad emissaries are generally known as trailblazers. They were in the UAE, by the way, for years before the accords, and I'm certain they won't allow themselves to be intimidated by this cowardly act. And we're seeing already very clear statements and actions from the UAE authorities, not only condemning this act, but taking swift action against the perpetrators. Within hours, 3 suspects of Uzbeki nationality were detained. And as my good friend and Emirati political commentator sent me right before this interview, Amjad Taha, he said, these criminals will not see the sun again. And he sent a message to the beloved Jewish community of the UAE that the UAE will stand strong against every racist, against every anti-Semitic criminal, and the UAE will stand by the Jewish community. And that's something we're not seeing from any of the Western governments in which Jewish communities have been attacked recently.
All right, well, Dan Fefferman, thank you so much for your analysis today.
Thanks for having me.